Welcome everyone. We're back again for a wonderful high holiday season. I'd like to start tonight with some very wise words from a local rabbi, Rabbi Laura Geller. She says, "The book of life doesn't begin today on Rosh Hashanah. It began when you were born. Some of the chapters are written with the help of people in your life, like your siblings and your teachers. And parts of the book were crafted out of experiences you had and because of other people's decisions. Where you lived, what schools you went to, what your homes were like. But the message of Rosh Hashanah, the real message of Rosh Hashanah is that everything can be made new again. And that much of the book of life is not already written and definitely not sealed. You get to edit it. You get to edit it every day and decide what to emphasize and remember, and maybe even which parts you want to leave behind. And today and every day you can change your life. You can change the way you live your life. So as we begin the high holiday season, may we enter it with joy and anticipation. The high holidays are a time to reflect on our lives. As Rabbi Geller suggests, we have the power to write the book of life in any way we want it written. I think the questions we need to ask ourselves as we journey through the holiday season are, am I writing the book of life with wisdom? Am I writing with compassion? Am I writing it with joy? Am I making each day count? Even in the smallest way. And most importantly, are you expressing the best self, your best self, into the world each day? Are you bringing your unique gifts into the world? We'll start tonight with candle lighting. Does anyone want to come up and light the candles for us? We light the candles. It's our way of bringing symbolic light into the world. It's a symbol of our bringing light and enlightening the world with our presence. Good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
We begin most of our formal services with the Baruch Hu. It's a way that we send a message into the universe that we're joined as one. So please stand as we say the Baruch Hu. I'm going to read the alternative evening blessing on the side of page 5. Beloved are you, eternal God, by whose design the evening falls, by whose command dimensions open up and eons pass away and stars spin in their orbits. You set the rhythms of day and night. The alteration between light and darkness sings your creative word. In rising sun and in spreading dusk, creator of all, you are made manifest. Eternal and everlasting God, may we always be aware of your dominion. Beloved are you, Adonai, for this hour of nightfall. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, and Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Amen.
We continue with a visit to God's loving blessings with Ahava Olam on page 6.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot u'kim u'mishpatim, Tanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, B'shofenu u'v'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, Orech yameinu, uvahem egeh yomam v'layla. Me'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Amen. So now's the time to pull ourselves together. There are lots of disparate things that pull us apart as the day goes on, but this is our moment of declaring our oneness. And how do we get to this place of unity? We get to this place of unity through love, through our love for God that's expressed in everything that we do. So let's join and say the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופטך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
And continue silently through the rest of the page and on to page 7. And Andy will put the finishing touches on this beautiful prayer.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen. So our service continues in the middle of page 8, where we sing Micha Mocha. It was a miraculous moment when the liberated Hebrews stood on the shore of the sea and saw the sea part. This is our way of visiting that moment again, but it's also our way of acknowledging that there are miracles in our lives every day. Maybe they're not as big as this miracle, but they're miracles nevertheless, and we need to appreciate them however we understand them.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, וכהים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי ודע אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Redeemer of Israel. So we continue with Hashkivenu on page 9. It's certainly a very poignant prayer to be singing tonight because it ends with a hope that the Sukkah of peace should be placed over us, that we should all experience this moment of a Sukkah of shalom, a Sukkah of peace. And definitely that's something we need right now with all that's going on in the world. So please join Cantorial on the top of page 9.
This is one of many tunes that we'll be doing through the High Holy Day season by the marvelous, amazing Debbie Friedman of blessed memory. Ushmo tzetenu vo'enu lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom,
Eloheinu leshalom,
v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim, uferos aleinu, sukat shalomecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. Me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata Aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, hapurei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. We continue with our first Hatzi Kaddish of the high holiday season. There's a very sweet change in the Chatzi Kaddishes of the high holiday season. There's a word that gets repeated. The word is la'ela, which means higher. And it's said twice, because on this special time of the year, this liminal moment in the Jewish world, we want to be higher and higher. We want to seek the highest points we can of spiritual connection.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash me'rabah me'alma divrah chirutei v'yam nichmachutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael b'gala uv'izman kariv ve'imero Amen. Yehesh me'rabba mevarach le'olam ulal me'almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha berichu le'ela ule'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran ve'alma ve'himero Amen.
In a moment, we're going to stand for the Amidah. My teacher, Rabbi Marsha Prager, always suggests that when we stand for the Amidah, we take 3 steps backwards and 3 steps forward, and that we should imagine as we take these steps forward that we're standing on the edge of a cliff, and in front of us is all of eternity, spread over our world and spread out of centuries. So please stand. We're going to do the Amidah. It continues from page 11 through page 13.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Akol, וזוכר שתי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ונופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו נשעני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכר יצורה לחיים ברחמים, ואמנתה לחיים
חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך הסלע.
We can be seated. We're going to continue on the next page. Cantor Andy is going to sing the first two blessings on the top of the page.
ובכן, תן ברכך אדוני אלוהינו על כל מעשיך, ואימתך על כל משברתך, ויערוכו כל המעשים, וישתחוו לפניך כל הברואים, יעשו כולם אגודה אחת, לעשות רצונך בלבב שלם, כמו שידענו אדוני אלוהינו, של עשיתו לפניך, עוז בידך וגבורה במיניך, ושמך נורא על כל מה שבראת. ובכן תן כבוד אדוני לעמך, תהילה לרעך ותקווה לדורשך, ופתחון פה למייחלים לך, שמחה לארצך וששון לירך, שמחה לארצך וששון לירך, וצמיחת קרן לדוד עבדך, ואחרית נעלה לבן יישא משיחך, במהרה ורמנו.
I'm going to read you this beautiful blessing by Martin Buber. The purpose of creation is not division and separation. The purpose of the human race is not struggle to the death between classes, between nations. Humanity is meant to become a single body. Our purpose is the great upbuilding of unity and peace. And when all nations are bound together in one association, living in justice and righteousness, they atone for each other. So we're going to continue our Amidah with the last two paragraphs on page 14, which speak to God's great love.
ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבת יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, יעלה ויבוא ויגיע ויראה, וירצה וישמע ויפקד ויזכר, זיכרוננו ופקדוננו, זיכרון אבותינו ואמותינו, וזיכרון משיח בן דוד עבדך, וזיכרון ירושלים יקושך, וזיכרון כל עמך בית ישראל לפניך לבטלה לטובה, לכן ולחסד ורחמים, לחיים ולשלום ביום הזיכרון הזה. זוכרנו אדוני אלוהינו בו לטובה, ופוקדנו בו לברכה, והושיענו בו לחיים. ודבר ישועה ורחמים חוס וחוננו, ורחם עלינו והושיענו, כי אליך עינינו, כי על מלך חנון ורחום אתה.
Thank you, beautiful. So we're going to continue in English. Please join me on the top of page 15. Our God and God of our ancestors, may you be exalted over the entire universe in your glory. May you be raised up over all the earth in your splendor, and may you manifest yourself to all the inhabitants of the world in majestic beauty of your strength. Then all creatures will know that you created them. All living things will understand that you gave them life, and everything that breathes will proclaim, Adonai, the God of Israel, sovereign, ruling over all. Our God and God of our ancestors, make us holy through your mitzvot. Let the Torah be our portion. Fill our lives with your goodness. Gladden us with your triumph. Purify our hearts to serve you truly, for you are the God of truth, and your word is true, eternal and unchanging. Baruch atah Adonai, ruler of the earth, who makes Israel and the day of remembrance holy.
V'taher libenu, v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu le'avdecha be'emet. V'taher libenu, v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu le'avdecha be'emet. Ki atah Elohim emet, u'devarcha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Beyom hazikaron.
We continue with Modim Anachnu Lach. It's one of our many times where we will express our great gratitude for all that we have. You know, we don't have everything, but we have so much. We have so much.
For those of you following along in the Hebrew, we're starting about 5 or 6 lines down. My glasses aren't good enough for me to tell at this distance. So try to follow along.
V'halalu et shimcha be'emet, ha'el yishatenu ve'yaratzenu sela. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha na'el lehodot.
We complete our Amidah with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav, not only peace, but great peace. Rav, great peace. Great peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha v'chol yoshvei tevel tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam, ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom, ki atahu shalom v'tom v'nech levarech et amcha Yisrael v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
May we and the entire house of Israel be called to mind and inscribed for life, blessings, sustenance, and peace in the book of life. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings peace.
Amen.
Thank you, Cantorial, for your beautiful davening. It's such an honor and a privilege to be able to share this space with you. You always open my heart and make the prayers come to life in ways that I haven't always experienced in my life. So thank you so much, blessed brother. So, as many of you know, I'm a Jewish renewal rabbi. The Jewish renewal movement was founded by Rabbi Zalman Schechter Shlomi. Reb Zalman grew up in an Orthodox Hasidic community, and his spiritual journey through life was totally amazing, totally amazing. He met with and worked with and learned from spiritual leaders of all denominations and of all different ways of understanding the mysterious. Though I don't know all the details, I know that he also had a relationship with the revered rabbi, the founding revered rabbi of Beth Ohr, Rabbi Michael Roth. So I'd like to revisit one amazing moment Belle and I experienced in Reb Zalman's life. It occurred a few years before he died. We were at a synagogue in New York, and Reb Zalman was being interviewed, along with the synagogue's Rabbi David Ingber, by Rabbi Joseph Telushkin. And there were a lot of interesting questions. It was a great interview. But at one point, Rabbi Telushkin turned to Zalman and he said, Reb Zalman, has it been very hard for you to not be Orthodox anymore? And Reb Zalman smiled. And even though we were sitting way in the back, I could see a little twinkle in his eye. And he said, you know, I'm still Orthodox. I'm just not Orthodox in the way an 1850s Jew would be Orthodox. I'm Orthodox the way a Jewish person should be Orthodox in the year 2020. In the year 2021. So this was such a perfect answer because it really summarizes what Zalman did with his life. That's what Jewish renewal was about. He took the foundational beliefs of Judaism and he adapted them so that they made sense in a modern world. So it was just a perfect answer. So Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year, and it's I'd like to start by helping us figure out how we can be Orthodox, or as Bell likes to say, authentic, in the Jews for the 21st century. So now I'm not going to tell you or teach you how to keep kosher. And I'm not going to teach you all the ins and outs of Shabbat. And though 2 of you are in my Hebrew class, I'm not going to insist that you all learn Hebrew. Those things all made sense in the 1880s, but maybe they don't make so much sense now. But Zalman was very careful about one thing. When he made changes in the Jewish world and Jewish life, he always made sure they were founded in the principles of Judaism that were eternal. So tonight, what I'd like to share with you is 3 ideas, only 3. It could be more, but I'm going to stick to 3. 3 ideas that really are foundational ideas that if we embrace, we can really live life as authentic Jewish people. We really can live life. So I guess the first step in understanding how to live a meaningful Jewish life is to understand who we are. You know, what are the Jewish people? How do they distinguish themselves from the rest of the world? And we have to look at the Torah, which gives a clear-cut instruction about who we are. The Torah says, and this is God speaking to the Jewish people, I will make you a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. That's who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be priests, and our community is supposed to be holy. So how do you become a priest, and how do you become holy? This is more difficult nowadays, because one of the real problems of our time is that we're bombarded continuously with things that are not holy. In the media, and particularly in some of our leaders and some people who are trying to be leaders of our country, we're told many things that just are not true. And not only are they not true, they're in no way holy. There's another aspect to all of this, is that some of our political leaders, or those who want to become political leaders, have made it a habit of speaking disrespectfully and saying things in public that were never said in public before because they were considered unacceptable. And unfortunately, because they're said repeatedly, they become acceptable, particularly when they're said in somebody who is envisions himself as some kind of leader. The word kadosh, holy, means separate. So if we're to be holy, we need to separate ourselves from all of this. So that's the first step. The other step to being a priest is to be holy in everything we do. You know, we all were raised by families that I sense were pretty good. And they implanted us a moral imperative that said what was normal ethical behavior. And as Jewish people, we need to be a model to the rest of the world and bring that ethical behavior into wherever we go. We have to set a high bar. We have to do the right thing. You know, the trouble with doing the right thing is that sometimes it's not possible to know exactly what the right thing to do is in every situation. But if we try and do the right thing, if we commit ourselves to doing the right thing, then we're acting in a priestly way. And if we have children and family, we have to teach them to be mensches, to always do the right thing as they grow up and travel through life. The second step in the journey to be a 5785 authentic Jew is to live our life by following the central teaching of the Torah, the teaching of the Torah that's repeated more often than any other teaching in the Torah, which is, you shall not ill-treat any widow or orphan, you shall not wrong or oppress a stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. This is the central tenet of the Torah. This is the whole Torah. There's nothing more important than this. So it seems kind of easy. We can care for widows and orphans, but there's something different about really making this a central focus of how you see yourself in the world. We give to charities. We find different ways to, if we have time, to volunteer in charitable organizations. But I think the Torah is trying to tell us something a little more deeper about orphans and widows. Because in the time of the Torah, and even today, orphans and widows are vulnerable. And I think what the Torah is really trying to teach us is that we need to find ways to protect the vulnerable in our society, and beyond that, to deal with our own vulnerabilities. We all have places where we may have been wounded in life, where something happened to us that threw us off our path, and many of us are left with an open wound that still requires healing. When I took my training as a spiritual care provider, we call this our growing edge. We all have growing edges. And we can recognize that some of the people who are most dear to us, our friends, our family, our children, they have growing edges too. And if we're going to take care of the vulnerable, we have to comfort those growing edges. We have to comfort those growing edges in ourselves, and we have to comfort those growing edges in our children too. That's definitely a way that we can provide help to the widow and orphan metaphorically. We can give them a metaphorical hug when they need it. So what about caring for the stranger? This is another hot political topic. Our lives are filled with others. Immigrants, people from other countries, people from other cultures, and people who are just so different than how we are. One of the major issues of our time is that we have become increasingly less able to reach out to these others. And in fact, we're told in the media by certain people to be fearful of them, that they're dangerous, and they're doing terrible things in our country. We need to be mindful of personal safety. Of course we need to be mindful of personal safety. But we can't tip the scales so much that personal safety makes us unavailable to those who seek to join our community. Remember, the central value of Jewish community is to welcome and accept strangers, and I like to think it's a core value of our Beth Ohr community. You know, over 100 years ago, my parents came to the United States. They didn't speak English. In fact, they never learned to speak English that well. But they were accepted in this country, and they made their own little contributions. And I like to think that I'm kind of one of them. You know, their genetics is alive with me. And I know we all have grandparents too. So when we think about this issue of immigrants, we have to remember where we came from. Remember where we came from. There's one more core idea I want to leave you with tonight. There's a prayer we're going to say in a few minutes. In fact, we don't leave one prayer service without saying this prayer. So why do we keep saying it? It's important. It's really important. And it's the prayer Aleinu, which says, it's upon us. It's upon us. We have a responsibility to the world. As Jewish people, we have a responsibility to try and make the world a better place. Some of the biggest mistakes in my life occurred when I sat back and didn't try and do something I knew needed to be done. It's easy to sit back and wait. You know, if you sit back and wait, you never have to worry about anything, about making a mistake when you journey forward. So a lot of us choose this sit back and wait idea. But this is not what Jewish life is. Our way is to do something to make the world a better place. Jewish leaders in every generation participated in the actions of making the world a better place. When I think about this famous picture of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel with his arm entwined with Martin Luther King at a freedom march. This is the kind of metaphorical action we need to take in the world. But when we get to the end of the Aleinu prayer, there's another message the prayer gives us. The message is that we need to work to make the world one, to bring all the diversity in the world, which is beautiful, but allow it to live under one tent in one place so that it's comfortable and makes the world complete. So as we enter this new year, my blessing for all of us is that we embrace our identity as 5785 Jews. We do this by being priestly and bringing up priestly presence into our world. We do this, we become authentic Jews by comforting the vulnerable places of the world and our own vulnerabilities. And lastly, we do this by not sitting back, but by engaging in the world. We don't sit back and engage, and we need to sit back and make sure that we engage in perfecting the world. You know, there's a very wise saying in Pirkei Avot. It says, it's not up to you to finish the task, but you're not free to avoid it. And of course, if you don't like any of these things, and you want to talk to me about keeping kosher, being Shomer Shabbat, being very careful about Shabbat, and you want to come to all of our Beth Ohr gatherings this year, and you want to learn Hebrew too, that's perfectly okay with me. Shana Tova. We're going to continue our service with, of course, Aleinu. It's upon us on page 25.
And please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula leotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kachol hamonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתלמים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
There's nothing else. There's nothing else. You may be seated.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
So now's our moment to remember those who are with us in another dimension. It's traditional to stand up if you are observing a yahrzeit or somebody you know and you cherish has died recently. It's also something one can do to stand for those who don't have anyone to stand for them, to say Kaddish for them. So if you'd like to stand either virtually or physically, please stand as we say the Kaddish today. If you'd like, is there a name that you'd like to remember? Anybody have a name they'd like to remember? Stella Boy. Thank you. Sherry. Oh.
My father, Steve Henry.
Father Stephen. Okay, let's do it. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah v'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaychon v'yomachon v'chai v'ol Beit Yisrael ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Hey Shmei Rabbah mevarach li'olam limei amayam Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpahar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yadar, v'yadalev, v'yadalal, Shemei Kudusha, B'rechu, Le'ela, Le'ela, Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Da'amira, B'yalma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rab Amin Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'ol Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'broma.
Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'ol Kol Yisrael, Kol Yishvei Tevel, V'imru, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Karen, would you like to make any announcements about tomorrow and our ongoing high holiday season?
Hello, all. So tomorrow we begin at 10 in the morning, and we'll conclude around somewhere between 12:30 and 1-ish, more like, in between there. There's lunch tomorrow. If anybody is still interested in joining us for lunch, we will be meeting at a little Italian neighborhood place about a mile east of here, off of Moore Park. It's called the Tellos. It's cute. It's easy. No host. And then next week, a week from Friday, Yom Kippur, starting with Kol Nidre at 7 o'clock. I think there was a little confusion, maybe from past years, but our evening services for the holidays are at 7, and that will be Kol Nidre. And then the following day, all day, if you want, starting at 10 in the morning, morning service, followed immediately by Yizkor. A break for about an hour, and then a discussion for an hour. I have no idea what that's about, but I'm sure it'll be great. And then our afternoon and closing service, and starting at 2:30, 3:30. So discussions about 2:30. We'll go right into, after the discussion, short break, 5-10 minutes, and then into the closing service. And we'll break with a break fast about 5 o'clock. And there will be a few goodies here to eat. And that's it. I love Yom Kippur Day because I stay here all day. And that's such a nice, wonderful thing to do. So if you all can be here with us, it's very nice. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you do all year round to make this place happen. So thank you everyone for being here. It's been an honor and privilege to see all your beautiful faces and to know that you're joining with us in this wonderful time of the year. So we're going to end with the prayer Yigdal on page 28. Now this is a very interesting prayer. We don't do it that often. But it's based on Maimonides' 13 principles of faith. Maimonides was not a humble kind of guy. So he decided, all on his own, he was going to say what Judaism was about. So you can imagine a Jewish world where one person tries to tell everybody else what Judaism is about. And he enumerated these 13 principles that if you adhere to, you are really adhering to the central tenets of Judaism. Despite all the controversy, it has been memorialized in this prayer, which is present in all prayer books and said quite frequently in lots of different settings. And Andy's has a beautiful rendition to make for us tonight.
Please sing along if you know the melody.
There's actually, in this new prayer book, if you look at the red lettering on the English side of the page, there's transliterations to all the things that the congregation is supposed to join with us on.
Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimtza b'einet el metziuto echaim v'ein yachid ki yichudo ne'lam v'gan ein sof le'achduto eino demut haguv eino nogu lo norachel kedushato Kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra Rishon ben reshit lereshito Hino Adon olam v'chol notzar Yorek gdulato malchuto Shefan nevuato neta oel Anshe segulato v'tifarto Lo kam b'Yisrael k'Moshe hod Navi umabid et umato Torat emet natan le'amoel Al yad nevio ne'eman beito Lo yachal yitpa'el v'yol mirdato Le'olamim zezulato Tzofei edoea setarenu Mabit lesof davar kadmato Gomer leish chesed kamifalo Notein larash ra kerishato Yishlach leketz yamim meshichenu Nifdor b'cheka ketz yeshuato
Meitzim
El berov chasto Baruch Adei Hashem Tehilato Metim Yechachel Berov Chasto Baruch Adei Hashem Tehilato Leshana Tova Tikatevu Leshana Tova Tikatevu Lai 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 Leshana Tova. Try that with English. May this good year bring blessings. May this new year bring blessings. Yai dai 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 Leshana Tova.
Shana Tova Mitucha.
Shana Tova to the folks on YouTube. See you guys tomorrow too.